Walk into any guitar store and you will see dozens of instruments that all call themselves guitars. Acoustic, electric, classical, hollow body, baritone, resonator. They all have frets, they all have strings, but they sound completely different, feel completely different, and suit completely different players. The most common mistake beginners make is choosing the wrong type before they understand what each one actually does. That mistake costs money, kills motivation, and sends people down the wrong path. That is what we are fixing right now. We are going through every major guitar type. What it sounds like, what it is best for, who plays it, and where it falls short. At the end, we will tell you exactly which type makes the most sense for the music you want to make. There is a right answer for every player. Most people just never get told what it is. The acoustic guitar is the most purchased guitar in the world, and one of the most misunderstood starting points. No amplifier, no cable, no extra equipment. You take it out of the case and play. The body resonates with the string vibration and projects sound naturally into the room. Warm, full, and present. It is the instrument of folk, country, singer-songwriter, and bluegrass. Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, Johnny Cash. The acoustic guitar is the storytelling instrument. The honest downside, steel string acoustics are physically harder to play than most electrics. Higher action, heavier strings, wider neck. Many beginners quit not because they lost interest in guitar, but because it hurt too much before they built calluses. If you plan to perform live, get the acoustic electric version with a built-in pickup. If you are a beginner drawn to acoustic music, this is your instrument, but go in knowing it is the harder physical starting point. The classical guitar looks similar to an acoustic, but it is a fundamentally different instrument. It uses nylon strings instead of steel. A wider neck. A right-hand technique built entirely around fingerstyle playing. Nylon strings produce a softer, warmer, rounder tone, the sound that defines classical, flamenco, Latin, and bossa nova. Here is what almost nobody tells beginners: nylon strings are significantly easier on your fingertips than steel. Lower tension, softer material, more forgiving in the early weeks. If you are teaching a child or someone with low finger strength, a classical guitar is often the most sensible starting point, regardless of genre. The electric guitar changed music permanently. Introduced in the 1930s and refined through the 1950s, it gave guitarists the ability to shape tone in ways acoustic instruments never could. The guitar itself produces almost no sound without an amp. What it produces is a signal that an amplifier shapes, colors, and projects. With the right amp and pedals, the same guitar can produce a clean Stratocaster tone, a warm jazz sound, a thick blues overdrive, or a saturated metal distortion. No other instrument offers that range. The advantage for beginners is often overlooked. Electric guitars typically have lower action and lighter strings than acoustics. They are physically easier to play. If your goal is rock, blues, or metal, starting on an electric is not the easy way out. It is the correct way in. The Fender Stratocaster and Telecaster define the single-coil world. The Gibson Les Paul and SG define the humbucker world. These four designs cover the vast majority of popular music recorded in the last 70 years. The hollow body electric sits between acoustic warmth and electric versatility. A fully hollow body like the Gibson ES-175 or Gretsch G6-120 produces a warm, resonant, three-dimensional tone with natural projection even when unplugged. The limitation is feedback. At high volumes or with heavy distortion, the hollow body resonates uncontrollably. This is why hollow bodies live almost exclusively in jazz and clean blues. The semi-hollow guitar solves this with a solid center block running through the body. The Gibson ES-3T5 is the most famous example. The hollow chambers give warmth and resonance. The center block prevents feedback at higher volumes. B.B. King's Lucille was a variation of this design. Warm enough for jazz, versatile enough for rock and blues. The semi-hollow is one of the most genuinely useful guitar designs ever created. The bass guitar is not a variation of the guitar. It is a separate instrument with a separate role. It has 4 strings tuned an octave lower, a longer scale length, and a fundamentally different purpose. anchoring the harmony and rhythm of virtually every modern band. The bass is chronically underrated as a starting instrument. It is often physically easier to play than a six-string in the early stages. Demand for skilled bass players is consistently higher than for additional guitarists. If your ear naturally goes to the low end and the pulse of a song, this is your instrument. Do not treat it as a consolation prize. The 12-string doubles every string in pairs, one standard and one tuned an octave higher. The result is a shimmering, chorus-like tone with natural depth that a 6-string cannot produce. The Byrds built their entire sound on a 12-string Rickenbacker electric. Led Zeppelin used 12-string acoustic guitars extensively on record. It is not a beginner instrument. It requires more finger pressure, more complex tuning, and a wider neck. It is a tool for players who already have technique and want to add a specific tonal color. Tuned a fourth or a fifth below standard, the baritone fills the gap between guitar and bass with a darker, heavier, more cinematic tone. Used extensively in surf music, country, film scoring, and modern metal. If you have heard a brooding, dark guitar tone in a film score or television drama, there is a strong chance it was a baritone. A specialist instrument, but in the right context, nothing else sounds like it. Invented in the 1920s to project louder without electrical amplification, the resonator uses a metal cone inside the body to amplify string vibration mechanically. The result is bright, metallic, and cutting, with a twangy, percussive attack that became foundational to Delta blues, bluegrass, and roots music. Played with a slide, it produces the vocal, gliding quality that defines slide guitar. Mark Knopfler, Eric Clapton, and countless blues players return to the resonator for its irreplaceable character. Travel guitars exist for one reason: portability. A full-size acoustic does not fit in an overhead bin, a Martin backpacker, or Taylor baby. Taylor does. John Mayer has spoken publicly about using travel guitars to maintain fingerstyle technique on long flights. The trade-off is real. Smaller body means less volume and less bass response. But for maintaining technique and muscle memory on the road, a quality travel guitar is a legitimate tool, not a toy. Rock and classic rock, solid body electric. Stratocaster style for bright, chimey tones. Hendrix, Gilmore, SORV. Les Paul style for warmth and power. / Jimmy Page, Joe Perry. Blues, single coil electrics for Texas blues, semi-hollow for warm jazzy blues, resonator for Delta blues. Metal, solid body electric with humbuckers, longer scale length for lower tunings, 7 or 8 strings for heavier subgenres. Jazz, hollow body or semi-hollow electric. The ES-175, the ES-385, the Gretsch hollow bodies define the sound. Fingerstyle and classical, nylon string classical guitar. Pop and singer-songwriter, acoustic or acoustic electric. Beginners unsure of genre. If you are drawn to acoustic music, buy a steel string acoustic. If you are drawn to rock, blues, or metal, buy an electric and a small amp. Do not buy an acoustic because someone told you it was better for learning. Buy the instrument that plays the music you love. Buy the guitar that plays the music already in your head. That instrument is yours.